America first forever. We will not surrender to the globalists.
We will not back down!
USA! USA, you damn well paranoid! We must change our educational system. It has failed completely. We are not sheep. We will not be sheep. We will not surrender our freedom. We bring power back to the people.
You're listening to Thought Villains with Derrick Gibson and Cara Castronuova.
Hi, I am Derrick Gibson, and welcome to Thought Villains. I'm here with my host today, Cara Castronuova.
Hey, Derrick.
Great to have you in the studio today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for, doing the show with me.
You're welcome.
So we have some great guests today, friends of ours.
So who are they?
Chris Wright. Chris Wright from Conservative Republican Alliance is going to be coming on. Everybody here in New York knows Chris. He's a really big activist. He's really on the scene. And we have Angel Rivera, the Puerto Rican conservative. He's also going to be with us. These are good friends of ours. So
that don't sound right, Puerto Rican conservative.
Right, it doesn't.
Okay.
The PR conservative.
Yeah. Right. There we go. But Chris Wright is New York City's most favorite conservative. I know about him.
Yes, a lot of people know about Chris, so we're really happy to have him here on the show. We're going to bring them in a little while. It's going to be kind of weird talking to them kind of formally in this setting because we're friends already. So it's, we have to keep it within the context of the podcast, but we know these guys pretty well. They're real patriots. And also, we're going to have John Pierce on later. He's calling in. John Pierce, Derrick, I know I was telling you about him, and we're both very familiar with this whole story of the January 6th Patriots being locked up and imprisoned and held in solitary confinement.
Right, the fake insurrection that is going on, the one that they just voted for the commission for January the 6th. It's a little fake. 2 thumbs down on that one.
Ooh, yeah, it's 2 thumbs down. So he's representing Chris Worrell. So he's a person that I've been in contact with who is in prison right now. He has cancer. He's trying to get his chemotherapy treatment, and they're not letting him out. He had a can of, he shot a can of gel mace. It wasn't necessarily even at a person. He's been held and detained in solitary confinement. Still won't let him out. So it's crazy stuff. We're going to have his lawyer on talking about what this means for America.
So who did Chris spray the spray at?
We'll go over that later. It's very interesting. I have some interesting photos from the Department of Justice. I went on their website. I pulled up all the FBI, aka KGB, which is now what I call it after everything that has transpired. Some photos they have as evidence, which isn't really evidence at all. So we're going to get to that later. But first I thought we would talk about how we met. Do you remember how we met?
Oh, do I remember how we met? We was tearing it up in New York City at a rally, and guess who I met? The great Cara Castronuova, and we've been hanging out together ever since.
Yes.
We've been shaking up the city.
Yes, we have. We met at a rally in that Derrick organized. It was in Herald Square, and it was a national rally. They were having it in all the different cities. It was against the lockdowns, the unconstitutional lockdowns, everything that was going on during the pandemic. And I met Derrick. He had organized this rally, and I wound up helping him out with it. So that's how we originally became acquainted. And then I started getting really involved with this campaign. I really believe that he would be a great governor for the state of New York for many different reasons. Derrick, why are you running for office?
Well, looking at how the current governor, not only the governor of New York City Mayor, is running the state of New York into the ground. So I put my hat in the ring about 1.5 years ago to bring justice back because we don't have a justice system currently. The taxes too high. Our business people are leaving the city by the droves. I own a moving company. I have moved several out myself, and it's hard to convince them to stay here. The crime is high, and it's a lot of things going on that need to be straightened out. Just take common sense policies, and I feel like I'm the man to do that, to bring New York State back to life because it's dead.
I agree, and we're going back 1 year now when I met you, almost 1 year now. You've been on the campaign trail talking to the people in New York. It wasn't cool to call out Cuomo back when we met. He was like the media darling, like, oh, let's all worship Cuomo. All of a sudden, he's on like the shit list, whatever. I'm sorry for my language, of the media and of the left, which is highly suspicious, I think. And now that he is, they see that he could be defeated. Everybody in the right, there's so many candidates throwing in their name into the race, like Lee Zeldin, like Giuliani's son. Many different people are now saying that they'll running for governor, but you were the first, I think, that was challenging Cuomo, and I really commend you for that, because nobody had the nerve to do it until they saw that he was actually beatable.
Right. They saw him on the fence, and they even after that, they waited a long time, because I had declared over a year and a half ago, like you said, it wasn't cool to run against Cuomo, and people would tell you every day, you don't stand a chance, Cuomo is going to win again. I said, no, I'm going to unseat this guy. I'm going to call out the things that he's doing, and I took him on head on from the beginning. So this is what we got to do in this state of New York. We got to have big, bold leaders. Don't wait till they fall and trip. You get on it before it gets that far. Try to stop what they are doing. So I'm here to do that, put a stop to the runaway train.
Okay, I love that. And a lot of people find it hard to wrap their mind around why they're, a black man from the South, Republican. It's like it doesn't compute in their brain. We've been at rallies together where people have haggled you and harassed you from the crowd. They've called you, I hate to use the word, it's just so terrible, but a coon. I hate when people use that word. How does that make you feel?
Well, I don't have any feelings. I walk, the ones I do have, they're in the bottom of my shoe, so I walk on them daily. It stops absolutely nothing for me. I've been called all different types of names. I even took up a name at Trump Tower during the protest over there. The young black woman came up and said, "You should be ashamed of yourself wearing that Trump hat." And she called me the N-word. So I said, yeah, right, that's who I am for Trump.
Right.
I'm not going to say it on the air, but you can figure it out.
Right.
NFT for Trump.
We have a video, if you could play that video, Bobby, there's a video where we were actually at a rally in Grand Army Plaza speaking for medical freedom and freedom in general in the state of New York. And this video is Derrick. He got on stage and he did his thing, and then he was attacked by many members of Antifa when he got off the stage. And I know you wanted to fight him, but you didn't. You kept your cool. I was impressed. Could we show that video where Derrick is being attacked?
Like let somebody speak and then that kind of you guys aren't respecting these people. No, I am. This is a doctor that cures.
So I was fighting with this guy. He was disruptive. Up comes Derrick.
I can't talk with him here. I got no respect.
So I'm gonna have to move. I got a flight. I'm so sorry, Mr. Gibson. Oh yeah. I took care of my daughter. You know, she's sick, so I gotta go.
Trump, huh?
Niggas for Trump. That's it.
You fucking disgraceful, cool ass.
Stop.
You a fucking disgraceful.
Stop.
Damn shame.
Yeah.
Do you know what the fuck I've been through? Freedom is free.
That's crackhead Barney. We know her.
Right. He's all around the place.
So this is what we're dealing with in New York right now, guys. It's like, we go to these rallies, we speak about freedom, then we have these people that come and think that for whatever the reason, we're the enemy, and they come disrupt us, they throw things at us, they call us names, they completely just try to take over our rallies, but that doesn't stop us. So that was just an example of the stuff that we have to deal with. Someone actually caught that on camera. That was in Grand Army Plaza a couple months ago. I was wearing a winter jacket. It might have been more than a couple months ago.
Right. And I'm actually not from the South. I am a born New Yorker. I just moved to the South at an early age, and I know y'all hear this accent that everybody's seen the love around the city. So I am a New Yorker. I am not a Southerner, but I identify as a Southerner, as a New Yorker. You can identify as a fish, a lizard, whatever you want to identify. So I'm a New Yorker all of my life. So this accent belongs to New York.
Yes, and I love your accent. A lot of people like it too. How we came up with this idea for the podcast is kind of interesting. We both know that if you're not in the establishment, you're really not going to get a fair shake when it comes to politics. So we figured, we'll start a podcast so we could get your voice out there and just let people get to know you in general. Because, the establishment, they have their people picked out. They favor certain people. So we're hoping a lot, people share this video and get, so people can get to know Derrick and who he is. And we kind of just want to get his voice out there and let him be heard, because the fake news media isn't going to do it for him.
Right, and it's fake. It is. They've been called out. It was called out by the former president, and it opened a lot of people's eyes up to what they were doing. You see it going on today, and yes, the establishment, I would say that in the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party, that it's rigged. You don't stand a chance if you're an outsider. So I'm here to break that. To bring both back where it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be a voice for the people. We don't want to have no party leaders picking our candidates. We want the party leaders to listen to the people. this is who we want. So we want a chance to be in a primary. We don't want a couple of county leaders picking who to bag or whatever. So I'm out here fighting that road on this road every day. And I'm traveling the whole state of New York to get myself known. I do have a lot of support upstate and around the city itself. And I think it's going to pick up a lot more with this particular podcast.
Right. And I think the most important thing when it comes to picking a candidate is who could win the state. That's conservative. You know, you got this whole pool of candidates. Yeah, some of them are pretty decent, but can they win? Can they win a liberal state like New York? I don't think so. I think it's going to take someone like you, Derrick, to actually win New York State. You've already turned a lot of liberals conservatives, signed up a lot of voters as conservatives. People, I'm answering the campaign phone every day, and people are calling from Democrats are calling, people, independents are calling. They want to know about Derrick. He's interesting to them because of the way that he comes off. He's a regular guy. He's sort of a populist. I think that's popular right now. So I'm getting all these calls from people like, you know, some people that are involved with the Black Lives Matter organization, and other organizations that are perceived to be on the left that actually support Derrick. So I think that's what we need right now if we really do want to turn New York State red.
Right.
Right.
And I feel like I'm the person to turn New York State red because I do cross over. I cross over to Democrat, liberals, and conservatives out there. I'm a crossover candidate. I want to govern for everyone, but we want to be within our lawful rights to do things throughout the state of New York. We're not going to pander to one race or like Andrew Cuomo does. He panders to me as a black man, but little do he know I'm the black man that he panders to, that will unsee him and bring justice back to all. We shouldn't be looking at color. We are all of the human race, and this is how the state of New York needs to show the rest of the United States that let's put color out the door. Let's make it so everybody have an equal opportunity for everything, be able to get a piece of the American dream and not just shell some groups out the money here and money there. We don't want to do that. We just want to give everybody a chance at the American dream, and that is what I will do as governor of New York State.
Great. So without further ado, why don't we bring in our guests and ask what they think about this topic? Let's bring in Christopher Wright from the Conservative Republic Alliance and Angel Rivera, the PR conservative. Like I said before, these are two great patriots here in New York. We hang out with them often. They're always at the rallies. They're at the events with us, fighting for American freedom.
Yes, they are.
So for anybody watching, and hopefully you are watching and you don't live in New York, people, I think to themselves, New York is sort of a lost cause. Like, there's no conservatives in New York. New York is all liberal, but that's just not the case. There are a lot of conservatives, and they are really cool people, like the ones around me. So for anybody that's watching around America, you just know that there are conservatives in New York, and you know we would appreciate your prayers right now. Thank you. So Chris, we were just talking about Derrick and turning New York State red, and I know that's a big thing that you're into, turning New York State red. That's your whole kind of thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, hashtag Turn New York Red. It's a movement that I started doing last year. I'm starting a group here in New York, the Conservative Republican Alliance of New York, and we do monthly events and everything like that. And during the quarantine, when everything's shut down, acting all crazy, de Blasio came out, and that's when he painted Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. And he thought he was doing something like, pro-black, look, I'm spray painting Black Lives Matter in the street or whatever. So, I came out like 3 days later with my group, the CRA, and we just had a rally out front. And I decided to call it the Turn New York Red rally to show people like we need to get rid of the issues in New York, the deep-rooted issues. And that is, to me, one, Democrats run the city, and it shows. Right. And also, you had a rhino establishment on the right, and the Republicans. Right. So I said, we need to start a movement where we get this new wave of conservatism that was started by the MAGA movement with Trump into these positions of political power. And we need to take it from the inside and turn it out. And that's how we turn New York red. And was the whole goal. That rally I did, over 300 people showed up. And Black Lives Matter and Antifa came out to that rally. And when they came out, I had the speakerphone, and Derrick remembers this because he was there as well. And, I was like yelling at him, like, where are your black people at? Where are your black people? Like, there's a bunch of white people there, but no black people at all at their Black Lives Matter group. And I don't like to bring race up, but they do it all the time. And I'm like, you guys are calling yourself Black Lives Matter, but you don't even have black people with you. Right. Like, most of the blacks are with us, like with MAGA. So it took to the point where people walk across the street that wasn't even a part of it would just join their side because they feel like, I guess somebody has to represent their side with right. Black people. So it was just, amazing event, and we had amazing turnout, and he showed a lot of people in the country that were watching, like, there's a lot of conservatives in New York and a lot of Trump support. So
Right, Chris, and we spoke about the paint. That you said something about the paint on the street in front of Trump Tower.
Spray paint.
Right, the spray paint. You know that painting costs about $13,000 to paint in front of Trump Tower.
Oh,
right?
my.
Right, so I when de Blasio and
$13,000.
the race pimp was out there, Al Sharpton, I was like, what good is that doing my community? You spending $13,000 to paint in front of Trump Tower on the street.
So that makes Beverly Beatty just pouring that black paint all over even more better now. That's just knowing that.
Right.
That was a beautiful sight then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So once again, they talk, but the action shows us nothing. They paint, they change street signs, but it puts no money into the black community. That is not helping us as the black community. Naming streets, Black Lives Matter, or paint on the street. We got homeless people sleeping on the street, blacks sleeping on the street. So why not take that money and try to uplift the black community?
Yeah, well, they're politicians. They believe in propaganda. So they just come out and do the propaganda spewing, try to just to get that black vote. Hey, look, we're down, we're cool, we're hip. You know, like Hillary did in 2016 when she was running. She had the concert with like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and of course LeBron James or Queen James showed up and said a few words.
Propaganda artists.
Yeah, they are. And I'm surprised, you didn't bust out the black preacher voice that they do, when they come out and try to talk and, pander to blacks and everything like that. And it's just all it is, what he's doing. Like, I don't even wonder, with de Blasio, don't get me started on him right now, but I think he probably married his wife for votes.
I know, right? I wouldn't put it past him. Let's be real.
So I'm saying,
What
keeping
about
it
the
real.
hot sauce, Cara?
I mean, he changed his last.
The hot sauce. What about the hot sauce Hillary had in her purse?
Yeah.
But de Blasio's last name isn't even de Blasio. He changed it so it's some
Warren
other.
Willingham.
Right. It's
Everything about him
he's
is for
phony,
votes.
right?
Everything is
Phony.
for
He's a
votes. Like
phony,
you tell, he's thinking about
phony.
running for something when he was like 6 years old, probably. Like he's a Manchurian candidate. He's like
Right.
him and
Terrible.
Obama both.
Right. Agreed. And Angel, you're a conservative here in New York. You are also an activist. Talk about your experience and what it's like you being Puerto Rican. Are there a lot of conservatives in New York in your community? Would you say more than people?
A lot.
Good.
A lot. And a lot of them, believe it or not, are just a little scared to come out. Like I had people hit me up on message, DM me, like, listen, sorry, let me not talk a little ghetto, but like, listen, we support Trump, but we're not gonna come out. We can't wear the red hat because you live in the projects. You got to be careful because you don't know who's gonna say what. So there are a lot of people that would hit me up on Messenger and be like, "Listen, we love what you're doing, bro. Keep doing what you got. Keep doing what you're doing. We do support this president, but we can't come out and say it because you live in a neighborhood where if someone is drunk or high, they see you wearing a red hat and they know what you believe, they can come at you. So out of protecting themselves and their family, they keep that to themselves, which is actually sad and scary that you got to hide your politics. You can run around, you can shoot whoever you want, you can sell drugs to whoever you want, but God forbid you say that you're a Republican. That's where you draw the line. Draw the line at Republican, but not at selling crack to your neighbor.
I mean, it's. I think everyone has to come out. I think I know using the word like look at the gay movement. Like everybody came out, and now look where they're at right now. It's like sad. I think it's sad. Like when a lot of Republicans. I mean, what is that saying about society, cancel culture? A lot of people are Republicans and they can't say they are. What kind of country do we now live in? It's terrible, and that's I think why we're sort of doing this show and where we hope it's going. Like this is going to be a safe place for people to speak their mind and actually be able to voice their opinion without feeling like they're going to be canceled. That's my hope for this.
We live in a country of fear. We live in a country where everything is run by fear. So I think what we're doing is really important because what we do gives hope. It inspires people. Like every time there was a Trump rally in New York or New Jersey or any of these blue states, people had hope. They saw these flags, American flags, coming down their block. It inspired them to come out of their house and wave that flag because people think they're alone. People think that they are alone in how they feel. And they don't know that their neighbor feels the same way, but they feel like they can't come out. So if you do your job and you come out and you just wave your flag, don't be scared. Wear your hat, wear your shirt. Do not be silent because that's what tyrants want. Did you not see when Trump won? Stop looking at states. Look at counties. This country was mostly red if you look at the counties. It was like 80 to 90% red. Barely any Democrats. It's just the big city Democrats and where they borrowed the winning votes. You know, I don't.
Yeah, it's
You know, but it's
Right,
the
and
truth.
to go back to this, Chris, Angel's talking about they won't come out. They're afraid. I wore the hat, the red one, in the Bronx several times. I walked through the Bronx. I had absolutely no problem. I even got some love from the community out there. But so I dare you to wear that hat in the Bronx. I was in school at that time. I walked right in the Bronx with that hat on, and I didn't get any kickback.
that's because you look badass, so no one messes with Derek.
Right, I guess so. But me and Christopher Wright, we started walking through Times Square with the huge Trump flag. We were the first someone out there doing this with the huge Trump flags, and we conquered Times Square. And what did we call it?
Oh, Trump Square. We would let it be known. Let it be known that day. Yeah, we definitely did. That was some shocked faces that day because we were marching through Times Square, and we had the speakerphone, Trump 2016, Trump 2020. Yeah, it was definitely.
Dope.
Yeah, that was. But that needed to be done because what a lot of people. The reason why I was able to do that because myself, even before I even did videos, I did a walkaway with Brandon Strzok and all that stuff back then. Even before that, I was on Facebook just losing friends and family members for supporting Trump.
Yep.
Like I already went through there's like a wall you got to break through almost as a Trump supporter. And it's like that wall of like, I'm afraid to come out and say anything. I'm afraid. And with me, I wasn't afraid initially because I always talk politics. Every 2 to 4 years, I hated social media. I would just use it just to talk politics, sports, and music, and that was it. And so I'll just do my every 2 to 4 years talk. And I was like, I'm going to support Dr. Ben Carson. And I got some people who were like, oh, you know who he is? Like hint, Republican. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't care about that. Like Dr. Ben Carson's the man. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
what are y'all talking about?
was
Like,
the man.
I don't care if he runs as a Democrat or
the
Republican. I don't care. And so, but people were like, okay. But then when I said I'm coming out for Trump, that's when everybody came at me. Everybody. I had childhood friends. I had family
Right.
members. And I got so much backlash at first. I didn't even realize what was going on. I was like, what the heck is a big deal? I just like...
Right, it
I'm like,
comes
what?
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's almost like you learn who, if anything, that good came out, but you learn who your friends are. Because anybody that would defriend you on Facebook, which happens to all of us, for who you support, that's not your friend.
No.
And what you guys, just how you guys were talking about that thing that you guys did in Trump Square,
Right.
we had so much fun. That was the greatest. That was such a fun 4 years, and I'm still living in like some sense of, I'm not gonna lie, of denial. I can't even watch Trump videos without tearing up. I can't.
Yeah.
I get so sad, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I can't even watch him because it's like it breaks my heart. So I mean, is he gonna run in 24? I think he's too good for it at this point, but I don't know. Like we had so much fun. You know what I mean?
That was
meeting like-minded patriots. That's how we all met.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. You're right because I literally had like really no social life prior to Trump in
Right.
New York.
right.
I'll be honest with you, and not because I can't be social, I can't be cool, whatever, all that stuff. It was because like all my friends were New Yorkers who were actually born and raised here, and they were like in their late 40s, 50s, some 60s, but they were cool because I'm like, at least they're regular people still.
Right,
They're
right,
regular
right.
New Yorkers.
Right,
they're regular
right,
people.
right.
I was looking at all the people my age, all these hipsters walking around, they're wearing all black, and they lispy voices, and they're sitting with their legs crossed on the train, all drinking the same coffee, and like, what the? And it's like this whole, like, I don't know what it was. I'm like, who are these people? I'm like, I'm supposed to hang out with these guys and be their friends?
Right.
Like, I don't think so, man. So I just
Yeah.
stuck it to hang out with my like neighbors that were in their 50s, and they were just cool. Shout out to
Right.
Muff and George, by the way.
Right. So it's like, I feel like, I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. And when I say I was not a Trump supporter. I am a Trump supporter still. In my mind and heart, Trump is still my president, not to be cheesy or corny, but he is, and I'm still a Trump supporter. And it's not about Trump anymore, even though, everyone likes to say it's not about Trump. It's true. It's about the movement. It's what he started. He ignited a fire in all of us. He got us all thinking about the country, what we want for America. Nobody was thinking about that before. Nobody was questioning the media. None of the above. So I think that that will live on. And Derrick is, I think, a great candidate that is Trump-like. That's why I really like Derrick.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He speaks his mind. He
Straight
doesn't
up with
care. You know what I mean? He's a people person. Like he's for the people, and that comes across. So that's why I really like Derrick.
Well, thank you, Carol. I'm glad you think a lot of me like that, but I'm Trump 2.0.
Trump 2.0.
Yeah, that's why I like Derrick. Like he's just like a badass. Like you have a conversation with Derrick, and there's no holds barred. It's like we were out in Times Square or wherever we're at, and he would just let the liberals know how he feels. Don't sugarcoat it. And I'm like, a tear comes down my eye of joy and happiness. I'm like,
It's a beautiful thing to
Yeah.
watch. It is.
I love it when someone just stands up.
Right.
Like, for instance, when we were at that rally, the Black Lives Matter rally you did, Chris, and like you said, there was black and Hispanics, a bunch of us wearing MAGA hats, and then you look and who's yelling at us?
Right.
A group of white liberals saying, you don't know what it is to be black.
We have some photos from actually Herald Square. I think are interesting. If we could pull those up. This is where we met. Derrick, Chris was there. Angel, I don't think you were there, but there's some counter protesters standing by. And again, I think that they are how you described. Do you have those pictures? Do you remember this rally? This is Chris. Remember the naked cowboy Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Give him a tip when you see him.
Yeah. That's a
This is
cowboy.
there's Derrick's son in the background. There's Chris speaking.
Oh, yeah,
Chris,
yeah.
me acting crazy behind him. Yes, this is a great rally in the city, right in Herald Square. And here's all like the little children that were standing around, mean mugging us with their masks on.
Oh,
and,
we got 'em.
starting fights.
We ruined their day. Like
Right.
we're the older people all smiling happy.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
young kids are just miserable.
Like,
My
children.
life is horrible.
And then you ask them, why are you angry? I don't know. I'm just mad. Like, can you think? These people don't know how to think anymore. They're not. Can they go to the school of indoctrination and they're taught how to follow and not to think? And that's the problem. There's so many layers of problems that we have right now, which is why I love Trump, because the first thing he said was, you know what? We got to fix education for the black and brown community. And how do you uplift the black and brown community? Through education and economic circumstances. So what happened? Economy got great for blacks and Hispanics, and then he wanted everyone to have a choice to what school they went to. So how do you break us out? You build the future by giving us that opportunity. The Dems just want to, here you go, handouts. What does handout do? It keeps you complacent. It keeps you staying where
Exactly.
you're at.
Yep.
And like that, you're controlled. You're little freaking puppets.
It's terrible.
Oh yeah, it's all
It's
about
terrible.
making you dependent on
Right.
them. They want they did, when the black community in the 1930s, what they did to the black community, all they did was make all these government assistance programs, and they brought them in there like, oh, okay, this is to help single parent households. We're here to help, and they always come in a friendly manner. Oh, we're here to help. Or we're here to give you a hand. And what happens is, though, over time, those government assistance programs eventually got to the point where they're pushing the father out of the household and replacing the father.
Yes.
And they were doing that by offering more money to women if they could prove there was no man living in the house.
Right.
And I'm even talking to women even nowadays, and I know, I live down in Georgia and near Bankhead. I used to work in the Austell area, and that's like not the best neighborhood down in Georgia. And I would talk to women down there that would say they would date a drug dealer just so they knew he was getting, because they can't prove his money on
Right.
paper.
Exactly.
So he was taking that money and living in the house and she'll let him live there because that's more money to the house.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that benefits you maybe financially for a moment of time until he's in jail or dead. But who's it really mess up the worst? It's the kids.
Right.
And nobody's talking about
it's
that.
a system, and it goes. I mean, it's a problem. It's such a problem, and it's sad that people think that. I think that the worst thing you could do is give someone something for free, like unless they really need it. Of course, I believe in helping people that need it.
There's people that generally need help, and
Right.
that's why we need to make sure our taxes are put in the right place, so those people get the help they really need.
Right.
All the way.
I wanted to reminisce, guys, about the fun. Derrick wasn't there. He was. I remember you were campaigning, but the Black Lives Matter MAGA rally right before January 6th. If we could pull some pictures up of that. It was such a good memory, I think.
Oh, yeah, we had a good
Remember
time.
how
Yeah, that was a
we
good
we
thing.
actually could show that we could agree on something across the board, and we combined with Black Lives Matter to fight the mandatory vaccination, the bill that Linda B. Rosenthal is trying to pass in New York. It was a lot of fun, and we marched the streets. We went outside of Linda B. Rosenthal's house, and we were, we were sticking posters all over her building. Her neighbors were so harassed. It was so much fun. It was
great.
We were just having so much fun in New York. This is the poster that Joe the Cowboy made. I don't know if you guys know Joe the Cowboy. He wears a cowboy hat. His name is Joe. And we put these everywhere just for people to know that they're attempting forced vaccinations in New York. If it could happen in New York, it could happen anywhere. This is setting a terrible precedent. That's Bill A11179. And then if we could see some pictures from that day of us marching, and even I don't know if you could pull up the video where Chris was leading the march with the megaphone and Angel too. It was really awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time, and you did a great job setting it up, Cara.
Yeah,
good concept.
Thank you, and I wish Derrick could have been there because I know that people are very curious to hear about Derrick from the left. This was the girl Hannah, the activist that I worked with to set this up. I don't know. You could fast forward through that to the part where we were marching at the end.
But see, that's the thing. We can all agree
Yeah.
together, and that's how you build as well. If you wanna like break the ice with BLM,
Right.
you find a
Fast forward.
Common ground.
Right.
Yeah, and then from there you could probably change hearts and minds like that.
Definitely.
Instead of bashing and bashing, let's work together, and slowly but surely we show them that, hey, look what's happening to BLM.
And also it works in more ways than one. I mean, I schooled a lot of leftists that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I beat them at their own game.
Yes.
Right, and I've been going across the board like that, talking to different communities. And I went to Occupy City Hall, and I won some of the Black Lives Matter leaders over to my side just by going out talking. I think I went out there 2 or 3 days. You was with us one day, wasn't you? Went out to Occupy City Hall, and I won like 3 of them. I think 3 of those leaders over to our side by simply going out talking without dialogue. You're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So I'm open to dialogue. I go around the city and I speak to all people. I tell them what I stand for, and they respect my opinion. Okay, you stand for that. We respect that, but this is what our opinion are, and I respect their opinion. Right. But I had some questions to ask of me. Say I'm pro-life, things like that. The LGBT community are supporting me, even though they know I'm a Christian man. I say, what you do in your bedroom is between you and God. Right. It's none of the government business. So this is what I want to do: take the government out of your home, out of your churches. It has no business in there. It's in places where it wasn't created to be. The government was created to do police, military, and the courts. Now we all in your bedroom. So I want to remove those things. I want to cut government small. We just passed a $212 billion package for the state of New York, which makes absolutely no sense. If we was to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, we wouldn't need that much money to survive. So even with the taxes, I want each county to set their own tax rate. I don't want to burden the entire state with these silly tax rates that is going on currently. But to go back what I was saying about the LGBT community, you go and you speak to these people, and you don't have to change your opinion, but you don't have to bash them. You don't have to do nothing to show them love, because God command us to love everybody, but you don't have to support their cause at that. Now we have people grouped off, this group, that group. If you do something, this group or that group, it's a hate crime. It's complete nonsense. We are all humans. We are all one people. A hate crime is a crime that is perpetrated against a person regardless. So why are we grouping these things out? By doing that, we are festering more hate in our community and the nation.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I'm so sick of this whole white supremacy BS. It's
so you don't like me? I'm a white supremacist. You don't like me?
Derek, you are.
Well, you know what's funny? You say white supremacist, and we're talking about BLM, and I've had these conversations with the BLM. It's funny. It sounds weird. We talk about white supremacy and BLM, but when I talk to them, I'm like, your founders were trained Marxist. The problem is, because of the education system, they do not know what Marxism is.
Right.
Like, do you know Karl Marx was a raging racist? Mm-hmm. Did not like black people? So you're telling me the founders of your group is pushing an agenda that is oppressive to black people, so you're fighting for your own destruction. As you stand there with your BLM signs, think you're doing something great, you're destroying your own people in the process, but you don't see it because you have the puppet masters behind you that are funding and giving this money, and they don't like you.
And now they openly embracing Marxists. So I was like, what is going on?
They don't know what it is.
People don't know their history, and they should be very afraid. And which there's a lot of propaganda. There's the news has been fake for a long time, but it's worse than ever before. Which I think we're going to lead into the fake news segment, guys. So
speak of the devil.
Derek, because you're running for governor, we thought we would be good friends and try to kind of help you prepare for a press conference. I know Trump had to go through a lot of this when the press would basically ask him these loaded questions, and they would attack him, and he'd be like, literally blocking shots left, right, and then you know what I mean? This is what you're going to probably have to deal with as a conservative, especially in New York. I don't know if you remember this video, Derek. Could we play the fake when we chased the fake news CBS reporter?
Oh, you got that?
Were you there?
Yes, I was with you. How should we chase him out?
I mean, Angela, you weren't there. There was a news report. If you guys could play that, he's pretty famous.
You guys sent me that video, by the way.
Right.
When it's done.
We chased him out of there, and he was so.
brilliant.
Yeah, let's show that video.
Yeah, please sum up with that video.
That is hilarious.
I forgot all about that.
I was like, so that was the second Stop This Year rally in D.C., and it was when everybody was just, I was so mad at the media at the time. And
yes, and he was coming just out of nowhere. This to do BS news.
he was just coming to ruin the party.
Yep.
Rewind it a little so we could show. There's the part where Derek, you can see Derek, who kind of, there's me.
And see, I flipped my
Rewind it even more so. Roll back a little if you don't mind. Yeah. Fake news.
They got me with the back with the
Right.
MAGA hat on right there.
Look at this woman. She's
She knows the deal.
Right.
That lady right there in the front knows the deal.
and he's like, then he pulls
That's
out
what
his
I was
camera,
showing
like, I'm
you,
gonna
man.
pull out my camera and take pictures of all these people harassing me.
I love it.
He leaves. Wait, fast forwards it through,
Listen,
and then
you
he
gotta do
finally.
this.
Hold on,
You
look
gotta
at
do
it.
this.
It was so great.
You gotta confront these damn liars.
You got to.
Right.
You got to.
We chased him out of there, and basically he went behind. He had the police set up his little own section for him, and then he goes, there was a crazy girl with a megaphone rallying up this crowd. She was very loud, and I was like, fake news. He was talking about me. Yeah, so Derrick and I just totally. It was such a glorified. It was just, I loved that moment
That was
when
legendary.
when he took a hike.
Well, you got to. You
The fake
gotta,
news.
like, I think me and Chris were talking earlier, you gotta go on offense.
Definitely.
Chris said earlier, we were talking off the camera that you got to go on offense. We play too much defense, and we have to do things like
Right.
this. You got to confront the liars because they have no problem destroying us. No problem hurting us, destroying our lives, destroying our families, destroying our future. They
Right.
do not care. So I don't care. It's time to play tough. I grew
Right,
up in
no,
a tough
it is.
neighborhood.
No,
Now it's time
I
to
agree.
be tough.
I agree.
All right, let's-
and there's ways to be tough on offense, going offense without burning down buildings,
Of course.
destroying
Exactly.
small businesses.
Right, the
and
mind is more powerful than I
Wait a
think,
second. BLM
violence.
said you got to burn down buildings.
Hey, you know, it's,
Are you guys
what-
ready
that's
for the
what
fake
I'm
news
playing.
panel?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody
Okay.
got to change it.
All
We're gonna play. We're gonna play reporters now, Derrick. So if we could take a pause here because they're gonna put on I guess maybe something. We're gonna edit it. Do you have that Trump thing too? We'll start that with So get in your reporter modes. And we have some questions for you, Derrick. So we're going to start. So you just imagine you're at a press conference right now, okay? And we're reporters, and we have some questions for you. So will you take some questions, Governor?
Yes, I will take your questions.
Here.
You're fake news. Come on with it.
Okay. Hey, I'm Lisa from CNN. Wait, let me start this again. Okay. I'm actually Lisa from the New York Times, okay, because you're from CNN. I'll start it again. So, Derrick, can I ask you a question, Mr. Gibson?
Sure, fake news. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Cara from the New York Times. So you've been censored on social media outlets like Facebook, like Twitter. You've lost followers. You've been in Facebook jail. How could you be so irresponsible?
Right. Me being irresponsible? Listen at what you're saying, Cara. Is that fake news?
Well, you were censored
Are
off
you
of...
part of social media?
Yes, I am.
You're one of the people in the back fact checking, right?
No, that those are done by fact checkers, but I'm wondering why you could be so irresponsible to get put in Facebook jail for criticizing the government and disagreeing with the government.
So in other words, you're saying don't tell the truth.
Well, you tell me, Mr. Governor.
Well, I just told you, Carol, you're fake news.
Okay, no. Derrick, all right, hold on. Do you guys want to act? Sorry, I just thought of this, how I'm going to do this. We're going to cut this a little.
that's fine.
That's why I have fun.
I tried not to laugh.
Don't
Okay.
overthink it.
Let's move on to Angel. So you ask the question now.
You see that paper? That question?
Derrick. Mr. Derrick Gibson.
Yeah, okay.
I am an award-winning journalist from MS-LMNOP. And we heard a story that we made up that you my friend, were planning not to take the Wuhan virus man-made virus vaccine. Tell us, are you going to set an example and take that vaccine?
Sure, I'm going to set an example and say, it's your body, your choice. What you got to say about that, Mr. Fake News?
We are Democrats. We don't believe in that unless it fits our agenda. Now, are you going to take the vaccine?
No, I'm not taking the vaccine, but you're welcome to take the vaccine. Get back with me in 2 years after you take the vaccine. Let me know how I did.
Racist. You hate black people.
The China virus, it's the China virus. It's 99.9% that you will get over. So why should I take the vaccine?
Because people are scared. Don't you understand fear, Mr. Gibson? Fear.
What's fear? Fake news? Pushing a fake narrative?
We are not fake if we get what we want.
Next question. Let's go. He got us.
Christopher from CNN here. Derrick Gibson has reported to Trump. You're a Trump supporter. You ride in a motorcycle gang and you believe in open and carry gun laws? To us here at CNN News, that only means one thing: white supremacy. How do you defend your white supremacy, Derrick Gibson?
As you can clearly see, I'm a white man, right?
Oh, Yes,
Right,
to me,
right.
I mean, that's all I hear your voice, and all I see is a white man.
And yes, I'm in a biker gang. You have a problem with me being free? I don't have a problem with you.
What about weren't there biker gangs the same gangs that were going after in the Trump rallies and they're attacking innocent anti-fascists?
No, I never saw that. You're making these things up as you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't
We
believe
don't do
this?
things like that. We just ride and celebrate, have a good time.
Okay, then what about those innocent anti-fascists and Black Lives Matter? You guys don't mess with them? What about them?
Oh, Mr. Fake News. Look at this.
Hey, fake news guys, can we team up? Because this guy's dangerous. We need to take him down.
Well, that's what they do. And I'm going to re-ask you my question from the New York Times. So I'm Sue from New York Times. You've been censored on social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter, etc. How could you explain this? How could you be so irresponsible to actually get censored on social media? That is a crime. Again, it's a crime, Mr.
So,
Governor.
because it's people like you at Fake News that push a false narrative. You don't like the truth. When I speak the truth, it hurts your feelings.
But you were in Facebook jail for over a month. That's
Facebook jail? You mean fascist?
It's almost the same thing as having a criminal record.
Right. Criminal record. Says who? Fake News.
All right.
We have freedom of speech.
How does it feel, Derrick? So we're giving you some a taste of what being a governor in New York might feel like.
It feels good to me. I like stuff like this. I like to drag people.
When they
in
call you
good
a white
way.
supremacist, what are you going to say? That's what they're going to do. They're going
When
to
they call me a white supremacist, can you not see I'm clearly a white man?
So
you kill that narrative right there.
okay, so just we wanted to prepare you for that.
Right.
I hope it was helpful. You
It
know?
was.
Okay, good.
I love it.
So, on a more serious topic, because we have 20 minutes, I think, of time, we're going to talk about January 6th. I know that the news, the fake news again, has been sort of, when you're on the left news outlets, they've been basically completely calling it an insurrection, politicizing it, using it as a
Comparing
weapon.
it to 9/11. What the heck
It's insanity.
is going on?
And then you take the right, and now all of a sudden they're like icing it out, like Fox, and you don't really hear much about it. They're like, we don't want to
defense,
be.
defense.
As BLM destroyed the city for freaking 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're not talking about it, and what they're definitely not talking about is that right now that there's a lot of patriots, a lot of peaceful protesters and other protesters that are in jail right now in Washington, D.C., being held in solitary confinement. They are being held without bail, which is crazy because we're used to being here in New York where there's no bail. You could get out, you could murder somebody and literally be let back out on the streets. Whereas these protesters from January 6th are being held in Washington, D.C. jail right now, where they're not allowed to be bailed out. They can't get out. It's crazy. It's stuff you can't make up. It's something I've been working on, and Derrick as well. It's Citizens Against Political Persecution. That's an organization. Check out the webpage if you guys want to show the webpage. We're going to try to fight for these guys because it's not really just about these guys from January 6th. It's about what this means for America when your due process is taken away, when you're being treated like a political prisoner. Like you could be on the left and think this is all great right now because, you know, our opponents are being completely, what word am I looking for? They're,
How is it that the FBI went full throttle against us? Full anything.
they're not your friend. That's the thing. People think the FBI is your friend.
They're politicized.
The politicized. And see,
I've
Trump
never seen that.
exposed a lot of this. People didn't realize.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a conspiracy theorist guy,
So
crazy
was I.
guy before this.
Yeah.
And then when Trump came out and started fighting the way he was coming, because remember, the first time I saw Trump was, and that's really, I mean, I knew who Trump was, but I honestly thought he was running just to brand his brand. He's like, Trump's just running to get his brand out there. Hey, I ran for president in 2016. You know, I'm Trump, you know. And I had no problem with that. That was cool. But when I saw him on InfoWars, he came on InfoWars with Alex Jones at the end of the show, and Alex said to have a special guest, and this is right when he was still running, and he's like, I know who watched this, and Trump got on there. He said, look, I know who watched this show, and I know who you guys are up against, and I want you to let you know, if I become president, I'm going to fight that entity. And he wouldn't call it the Illuminati. He wouldn't call it, you know, he didn't have the deep state name
deep
yet.
state, like, we don't
and
know.
we were just like, I was just like, Trump, do you know who you're talking to? Like, you know the people who watch this show?
Right.
And who-
And that's why they, you know, that's why they did what they did to Trump, because he was on time, as far as I'm concerned. So the FBI is really, I wanted to tell you guys a story about a person, because his lawyer is calling in. His name is Chris Worrell, and I was in shock that Newsmax covered this. Michelle Malkin, she talked about this, and she's like the first person who's really talking about these prisoners that are being held since January 6th. The only politicians that have actually stuck up for these people is Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas. And if she keeps sticking up for them, I'll stop calling her Pocahontas because then she has my respect. Then I'm like, if if she wants to win some fans over, she said they're being tortured, and basically in a nutshell, they're being broken before their trial. Like if you're held in solitary confinement, your mind is not going to be right for a trial. But you know what I mean? So she stuck up for them, and so did Dick Durbin. Where are all the Republicans?
Why is it only Democrats sticking up?
Exactly.
This is a weird time.
Because Republicans,
very weird.
like these,
They're far and few in between that have said anything. Far and few in between.
Yeah, they're very weak.
It's terrible.
Because that's why I have conservative before CRA, before Conservative Republican Alliance. Conservative comes first. We got to have conservative Republicans. We can't have these rhinos in there, man. Rhinos are destroying this country.
They are.
That's as bad as Democrats.
Derrick is the badass. We need people like Derrick, because if Derrick was there, and I've seen Derrick fight, Derrick would have been like, what the hell is going on?
My thoughts on January the 6th, it was a complete setup. It was a last ditch effort to just get rid of Trump altogether, get rid of his supporters. It was complete setup. I am the thought villain. So listen at this. They set it up. The Democrats set it up along with Nancy Pelosi. They opened the Capitol up. They waved the people. I've seen many videos. They waved them in. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a violent insurrection. It wasn't that.
Did you forget the selfies they were taking
Trump
with these terrorists?
Right. It wasn't that
cops
Trump
take pictures with
supporters
terrorists.
You had Antifa in the front beckoning people to come in. So it was just complete setup.
Regardless of anything, there was nobody, like, the only person that was murdered was the girl Ashley Babbitt, is her name?
By the police.
Right,
by
the police. And people that were protesters were killed. There was nobody held up. There was by gunpoint. There was nobody threatened. Right. There was nobody anyone was violent against, minus maybe some people maybe pushing past the police because of just the emotion of the crowd. We were all there that day. I remember, Angel, you were the last person I was trying to call before my phone died.
That's right.
And then just all shit hit the fan.
But let's not forget that before this, Trump offered to send in the National Guard prior to all this. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Of course, Pelosi turned it down.
No.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi turned it down.
And even that day, like 2 hours before the Trump supporters were even there, she had calls. They said, we can send extra backup if you need it. Right. And they said, no, we don't need extra backup.
But we all felt the energy there. And I think the thing that people fail to ask the question as to why so many people were so upset. And I don't, so upset to be... at worst, I think disorderly. It was disorderly conduct. Some people broke things. There was no other type of crime as far as I'm concerned besides that. Nobody's been charged with insurrection, which is actually supposedly a crime. So how do you keep calling it an insurrection fake news when nobody's been charged with insurrection, not one person?
And compare this to BLM, what they did all last summer. They burned America down. Right. They held federal courthouses.
They murdered people.
Well, it's political persecution. It's political persecution. Right now, the right, is kind of they're just not, it's just tipped. The scales are tipped in favor of the left. So right now the right is being persecuted, but that could tip right back to the other way. That's what the left doesn't realize. You let this legislation pass through. You let these terrible precedents be set where people have no due process and they're treated like terrorists, but they're American citizens. This will swing right back your way. So you should just be careful about what you wish for. So, like I said, we were all there. Right. We were there as peaceful protesters, right?
Yeah, definitely. We were there. Remember, two times before that, we were there at a million MAGA marches.
And why were you there, Chris? That's the question. Why did you go there? Nobody's asking that question. Everybody just wants to say everyone was violent. No one wants to know why people felt compelled.
Compelled to be there from around the country. We were coming to one place in the capital in D.C. For what reason?
To redress the government. And we have a right to do that.
And we did. And we let it be known that you guys, we see through your BS. And we still see through it. That's why inauguration, there was 20 people at the inauguration. He just did the State of the Union 4 months after the fact.
No. Right. Each one identified as we and they. So there were multiple people there.
Oh,
you see how this works?
But Angel, why do you feel
Only
like people were so, when the energy there, people were so emotional? Like, why were people so emotional?
Oh, because they...
You stole my thunder.
No, I didn't mean to go there.
No. Well, it's because, like I said, like we said earlier, Trump exposed what we were all feeling. We all complained about the left. We all complained about the right. We said they're both corrupt. And then what happened when Trump came in? Both parties turned on him. Mm-hmm. The left and the right. Mm-hmm. So that's why the left went super radical, and then the right just turned on Trump. And we're like, yes, this is our dude. And then now the left and right work together to try to take him away from us, to bring back their suit and tie politician. We said, no, this is what we want.
Right.
We want, not because he's the greatest person ever, but he actually fought for us. He cared. So you're taking away our votes.
But not only did he fight for us, he fought for Americans.
Yes.
Even the Democrat, he fought for every one of us. And
America first.
they upset about that because the so-called the elites didn't want that. They just want the fight for them.
I think
and not
that's
the
what
people
upset them the
themselves.
most, is the point I'm getting to, like that.
They didn't want to make America great again.
Well, you
They
could
don't
they
want that
could
America
see
back.
like a person that had like so much pull with, so they just people coming together for a cause that is right. I think it was just terrifying to the government, and they had to squash that down really fast, which they did. And it's terrible what they did, because ever since January 6th, people are kind of like hiding out now. Almost, it's very
But you know what's
sad.
weird, real quick? I don't want to just cut, but how they say the media, they're like, oh, the Trump wing of the Republican Party. Like, we're a small group.
No,
How many people voted President Trump? At least 70 million?
Yeah.
I want to say way more than that.
But that's on the
No, 70,
low side.
no,
74, right?
over 75 million.
But who? I'm pretty sure more than that. But don't call us a wing or a little fat. Like,
Right.
we're a
No.
little group.
Complete.
We are the Republican Party.
We are.
And the Republican Party has completely changed. I'm going to make this point, and this is, Derrick, I think important, like me and Derrick understand this, is that it used to be perceived as this like rich elitist party. It is the opposite. Every Republican, and I know like we're all working class people. We all like salt of the earth type people, like farmers, like it's around the country. I guess police officers, firemen, just regular teachers, people that run stores and businesses, just regular people that just are coming together. That's the new Republican Party. And I think the Republican establishment is kind of still making the mistake, and they're not really understanding that. They're not mobilizing what Trump started, which is regular people. There's so many people that could come out and help the Republican Party become the dominant party again, and you're still neglecting these people. You're still neglecting these regular people and pandering to
Because
these elitists.
They want more Mitt Romneys. They want more of
It's
that
crazy.
dry
But
bread and butter
Look at
candidate.
this table here. Look at this table. This is the Republican Party.
Right.
You couldn't say this 10, 15 years ago, where the Republican Party right now on this table, you have two black men, two Hispanic men, and I'm assuming white.
I'm Chinese, then it's
I don't want to make a mistake.
That's New York right there.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is the new Republican
She's
Party.
Asian, and neither black guy's attacking her today.
right. That's a whole nother story.
a whole nother
That's a whole
story.
nother topic.
I'm not liberal enough. I'm not liberal enough
A
for
whole
that.
nother topic. It's crazy. But I want to just we're gonna take a really quick call. Is John still available for a call? Do you guys know? We're going to put him on the phone. John is the attorney. So now this is a really great idea, and I really wish we had more time for this. You guys are familiar with the ACLU, which is now a propaganda.
Yes.
Wait, hold on, what? 10 minutes. Yeah. We're on a time clock here, you know, studio time. It's expensive. So, the ACLU was supposed to defend anybody when their constitutional rights were actually being infringed upon. And all of a sudden, they're an arm of the left. So John Pierce, we're going to get on the line, he's actually trying to start an organization that is sort of like the ACLU, not just for the right, but for everybody. Where people, because right now it's like so hard to find these
We got
attorneys.
the call on the line, Kara.
Okay, John, you're online. It's so hard to find all these attorneys. Hey, I was telling everybody how it's so hard to find attorneys and lawyers who actually will, because of cancel culture and their lives being threatened, or afraid to defend people like a Kyle Rittenhouse or like a January 6th patriot. So you're defending Chris Worrell, who has cancer and he's being refused cancer treatments from prison. He's been held in solitary confinement, and he is being charged with carrying a can of gel mace, and they're saying he shot it at a police officer, but the picture we have, which you could show whenever you can, Bobby, the picture shows him spraying the can of gel mace, and there's nobody in the picture. This is the evidence the FBI is using to hold this man in prison in solitary
And they're
confinement.
doing with other
This
people.
is all the evidence you have. You're saying he shot it at a police officer, right? This is his thing I pulled up on the Department of Justice website, I believe. That's all they have. They're saying he said he was shooting at an Antifa person that was attacking him. They're saying no, it could have been a cop. This is all they have, and this is how they're holding this guy in jail on torture underneath the Geneva Conventions, solitary confinement. So, can you tell us a little bit more, John, about Chris?
Yeah, so obviously, as we discussed, Cara, I need to be a little bit circumspect in talking about the specifics of Chris's case because there are, ethical certain rules relating to pretrial statements that attorneys of record in a case can make. But generally speaking, he is one of the Capitol Hill defendants that's charged with kind of a standard set of charges, such as being unrestricted property and allegedly obstructing an official proceeding. Note that there are no insurrection charges, there are no sedition charges against any of these defendants. And yes, he is one of the defendants who has been denied bail pre-trial. He does have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It has been getting worse. He has been denied his prescribed medications and has not been able to see his oncologist. So we are very concerned about his condition. And also he, did contract COVID. And so we have tried multiple times and are continuing to try to get the court to release him on certain conditions pre-trial. Obviously, the federal court judges in D.C. will do will apply the facts to the law and they will make their decision. And obviously we've set forth our position as to what we think should happen, and we're cautiously optimistic that the federal court judges in D.C. will ultimately agree with us. But we'll see.
Oh, well, he's been held for this long, so we're just praying for him. Like, I know that you spoke of the organization you're trying to start, and you're representing these guys, like, basically for little to nothing. What does this mean? What does this type of, infringement of due process mean for America?
Well, I think, Cara, and I know that you're, going to be helping me with this, and I very much appreciate that. But it's really over the course of the past few years. It really became obvious to me in connection with representing folks like Carter Page in the FISA abuse investigation and representing George Papadopoulos, who ultimately I was able to assist to get pardoned by President Trump, and, representing Mayor Giuliani with respect to some of the elements of the investigation that you see going on now, that there was going to be a tsunami of litigation that related to, government overreach and the fact that, the Constitution and our constitutional rights and our individual liberties are really being shredded at an accelerating pace day by day. And so, whereas I used to be at the big law firms and, representing big corporations, I just couldn't sit on the sidelines. And so, really saw a need for, an organization that is, like you said, sort of, the ACLU for the rest of us. And we're intending to build a legion of attorneys across the country who will, step into these cases and really make a difference in the trenches for individuals who have really no other choice. Right.
It's so necessary. And I was sharing with Derrick before the information and showing him all the pictures and how this whole FBI file is just chock full of he was a Proud Boy, and they just keep mentioning the Proud Boys as if that's some sort of evidence. Like, Derrick, some Proud Boys. What do you think about that, them using these guys as kind of like boogeymen?
Right. Well, they just craft a narrative against anyone that upholds American traditional values, and they want us to apologize for doing that, which makes absolutely no sense. So it's just a narrative being pushed, like I said, once again, to make President Trump look bad and his supporters. So we must fight back. And thank you, John, for being on the team and trying to fight back. I know Mr. Papadopoulos, you did a great job with him. I thank you for that also. But I'm behind you 100%. We must keep fighting, and we must turn the narrative the other way.
Absolutely, likewise, and certainly best wishes with your campaign there in New York. Desperately, change is needed there, just like it is in California. People like you have to, step up, and thank you for that. But to your point, and generally speaking, with respect to a lot of the people who went to Washington D.C. on January 6th. I think what people forget with the mainstream media kind of smearing them as, inaccurately as insurrectionists or seditionists is the fact that, a lot of those people were there because they had very legitimate grievances, and they wanted to petition their government under the First Amendment because of what they felt was and saw as outright fraud in the 2020 presidential election. And they didn't see anyone doing anything about it. Candidly, a lot of Republican state legislatures, really didn't do anything about it when I really believe they should have kicked the election to the House under the 12th Amendment by refusing to certify the election results, which they're certainly entitled to do under the Constitution. These are a lot of regular Americans were very upset, and they showed up in Washington, D.C. to make their voices heard. A lot of folks are being charged who showed up at the Capitol, and juries will ultimately, decide whether to acquit them. We're certainly intending to take all of the defendants that we represent and take those cases to trial and seek an acquittal.
Right. And we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep fighting on our end also. We're not going to let this go. We're going to be speaking out about it on next week after that. We're not going to let it go. We want justice for everyone. We don't want the Justice Department railroad our people for any reason.
And also, I want to make a special shout out to and tribute to Ashley Babbitt and her family. Ashley Babbitt, as you probably know, is the Air Force veteran who was tragically killed inside the Capitol on that day. I'm going to be in Sacramento at a rally on the state Capitol grounds on June 5th, along with Ashley Babbitt's parents, and we're going to be, holding a rally to really support her. And I anticipate that. That day is when I will formally announce the organization that we've been talking about, Cara.
Well, it's about time somebody's actually bringing Ashley Babbitt back onto the spectrum, because everybody just conveniently forgot about her. I mean, give me a break, finally.
Send my regards to that family there.
Absolutely. And I do also want to commend Tucker Carlson, who is one of the only sensible folks on TV these days, who has done a great job in terms of keeping Ashley's story in the news, and talking about the January 6th situation, and also discussing this commission that the Democrats want to have with respect to January 6th, which I don't think is really going to be a search for the truth. I think the Blue Ribbon Commission, if there is a Blue Ribbon Congressional Commission, should be what happened in November in the presidential election.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, John. And we're going to definitely update everybody with when you finally announce the organization, the name of it, and how people could help out and bring in these people's stories to the forefront of the news, because the news media has been ignoring it, and helping these patriots and helping anybody really that's constitutional rights are being stepped on, because if it could happen to them, it could happen to you. People fail to recognize that. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk here today, and really look forward to coming back again soon.
We'll definitely talk to you again soon. Hopefully we could see your face. It's not a bad looking face next time. It really isn't. I'm serious.
Yeah. I was at a Support Israel rally in Beverly Hills, which is just amazing. And I was supposed to speak, but Dennis Prager was right before me, and I had to, jump on your show, which I didn't want to miss. So you don't get to see my handsome face, but
next time. And hopefully we'll see you meet soon and work on some stuff together. Thanks again so much, John.
Thank you both very much. Okay, take care.
That was great, Cara.
That's awesome.
And I was going to just finally just say, just because in honor of Chris, because he actually did write a statement. And he feels very betrayed by the U.S. government, as I would if I was him too.
Right.
Or imagine just being locked up in prison, thinking everybody on the outside is fighting for you, and no one even knows you're in there. You know what I mean? You have cancer. Right. He fell and he broke his hand because he was so weak.
Right.
They're not feeding. Obviously, if you're in prison, they're eating on the floor. They're not even allowed to eat outside. They're being held in a pod. So there's about 50 people from January 6th that are being held in a pod. They're all separated from everybody and from each other. They can't eat or mingle with anybody, and they're given their food where they just basically eat it in the cell on the floor. When you have cancer, your nutrition is obviously very important. Mm-hmm. And you're not receiving proper care or nutrition. So I'm going to write him a letter. if you guys want to, like, if anybody out there, write him a letter in DC jail. I mean, give this guy some hope and some support. I was on the phone with him. He's such a human being. He was crying. He was so emotional. He was so upset. Like, I think it would mean the world to him to know that people are supporting him, writing him letters.
Yeah, that would go a long way.
Yeah,
That's good, yeah.
we only have like a second left, but Randy actually sent him some books on Amazon, and it bounced back that he couldn't even get him the books. They're not allowed to even get anything. So just keep that in mind. Spread the word about that. Let your family and friends know that there are American citizens that are being treated like domestic terrorists right now, being held in prison in Washington, D.C. And although you might have seen the fake news coverage of the fake insurrection, you should keep in mind that if this is happening to these people, this could happen to someone like you or someone that you love if you decide to petition the government. So we're going to close on that. Derrick and we would love to thank you guys for coming on today. Chris, where could we follow you?
Just put Christopher Wright Show on YouTube to find my main YouTube channel, and on Facebook, just Christopher Wright Show, Christopher Wright. I tell people all the time, DuckDuckGo me, be your best bet. Don't Google me. I used to say Google me, bro.
Christopher, before you go, can I see that shirt? I noticed something on your shirt. Can you stand up for us a little bit? I love the shirt he has.
How dare you? I'm offended.
Hey, I'm offended. I didn't want to trigger nobody. I thought I was speaking the lingo. You know what I mean? I thought my body, my choice is a new thing. So I guess I was wrong. I guess only in certain circumstances, leftist circumstances.
Yes, right. And how about Angel? Where can we follow you, and where can people learn more about you?
Well, I was very active on Facebook, Real PR Conservative, and same thing on Instagram. But since I've been shadow banned and they're about to drop my page, I have my website, prconservative.com. PR is for Puerto Rican. So prconservative.com. I got tired, but anyway, my bad.
And for me, you can follow me on Facebook, Fakebook. I can't stand it. It's like the necessary evil that we must squash. Yes. Twitter, I was laying low on Twitter after January 6th because I was losing followers like crazy, and it was just so freaking, I won't be defeated. I'm going to be back on Twitter soon. I'm on Instagram, and I'm going to be start getting much more active. So please follow me on there and give us some show ideas. And follow Thought Villains. Thought Villains on all social media handlers. Follow Derrick Gibson. Derrick, tell them how they can follow you.
Follow me on Twitter at Gibson for New York State, Facebook, Derrick Gibson, Instagram, Gibson for New York State, LinkedIn, the same. I want to thank everybody for watching this evening. Thought Villains. I'm Derrick Gibson, Ask the Tax. Follow me on all those social media platforms. Go to my website and look me up. Gibson4governor.com. I want to thank my co-host, Cara Castronuova, today. She's a fighter in real life, a boxer.
Yes, I am. I'll tell you more about myself next time. We didn't really get into that today, but thank you, everyone. And thank you, Derrick. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Angel. We'll see you next time.
And remember, people, never trust the government. Don't believe the media, and be brave enough to speak up for justice, seek truth aggressively. Do your homework. Let everyone know it. You have done it.
Do diligently. Do your due diligence. Yes. Do not believe the fake news until you research it for yourself.
Just believe us.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Turn New York red.